this is Ms. Hurst from Hamilton County Schools. I am going to start our kind of performance task with you guys today. So what you're going to do is I want you to look at this prompt. You're going to select 2 fiction texts from this unit, write an argumentative essay in which you argue which character is the most unreliable, and support your claim with evidence from both texts. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take some time to really develop a thesis by using evidence from the text. So what I want you to do right now is your warm-up is just think back through the fiction. So those are untrue stories that we've read in this unit about finding perspective. And I want you to choose 2 texts that have an unreliable character, a character that you can't really trust. While you're doing that, go ahead and pause me, and when you're done, press play. Okay, hopefully you have chosen 2 unreliable or untrustworthy characters from fiction texts in this unit. What I want you to do is go ahead and create a chart like this, because we're going to be looking at some evidence and some explanations for these texts. But before we do that, we're going to write a really simple thesis. So we're going to be looking just at the first text you chose right now, and we're going to write a thesis. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the character's name and then basically pretend like you are writing the essay that this character is the most unreliable, which means that your thesis or your claim or your argument, whatever you want to call it, would be that this character is more unreliable than the other character. I am going to write based on the nonfiction text. We were lying about the exit, so that I'm not accidentally, stealing one of the stories that you guys wanted to work on. So you'll do character 1 from text 1 is more unreliable. So I'm going to say video game narrators are the most unreliable characters. You would say character 1 from text 1 is the most unreliable character. So I'm doing just video game characters, video game narrators. So what you're going to do is you're going to look through your first text right now. That's all we're doing. And you're going to find a piece of evidence where you were like, this character is unreliable. And you're going to put it in the evidence section. So while you guys are looking through that, I'm going to put a piece of evidence that I thought showed that my video game narrators are really unreliable. So I'm just going to type this out while you guys are looking. If you need more time, you can pause me. Okay, if you need more time to find a first piece of evidence, pause me. If not, we're going to move on to our first explanation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to explain how this piece of evidence proves the thesis that you just wrote. I like to start my explanations with something along the lines of this shows, this proves, this highlights, this emphasizes, this draws attention to. So choose one of those. I'm going to go with the most generic, which is this shows. I'm going to say this shows that video game narrators will purposefully confuse players just to be unreliable. Because they're being unreliable on purpose, this makes them more unreliable than a character who is untrustworthy for some other reason. Okay, so I've explained that if someone is confusing you on purpose, that's more untrustworthy than if they're doing it on accident. Go ahead and write your explanation. How does the piece of evidence you just provided prove your thesis that character 1 from text 1 is the most unreliable character? Pause me while you work on that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to just find at least one or two more pieces of evidence. So I'm going to be looking for and providing my next piece of evidence. You guys go ahead and do that too. Try to find two more. I'm only going to do one more just because you don't need me to walk you through every step. All right, pause me if you need more time to find some evidence. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the explanation. I'm going to start by explaining that for non-video game players, it's important to know that losing a saved file would be infuriating and would drive game players insane. So basically what I'm saying is this quote emphasizes that video games sometimes go beyond an unreliable character / narrator and who like only confuses the player, because in this case the player almost becomes unreliable themselves, which is a huge deal. I feel like oftentimes characters are not purposefully unreliable, and even if they are purposefully unreliable, they're just trying to confuse the player, but they're not trying to anger the player or reader or make them feel crazy. So in this case, the unreliable narrator and character becomes a little bit more intense. So go ahead and write explanations for your second and third pieces of evidence. Pause me and then come back to me. All right, so now what we're going to do is you're going to do the same work for the second text. I'm going to do exactly the same thing because we need to make sure that we have really thought about which character is more unreliable. Because if you look back at the prompt, it does say that you need to include evidence from both texts. So this way we'll already be prepared for that. So what I want you guys to do right now is do the exact same work with your other text. Write a thesis for your other text. Pause me while you're doing that and then come back to me. All right, so it's really important that good writers really consider both sides of an argument before developing a thesis. So what you guys have done today is you've really looked at both sides of your argument, both texts, you've found evidence, and you have done the work of really explaining how your evidence proves your thesis. So what I want you to do now is I want you to choose a character and a text, and in an exit ticket, I want you to write the thesis that goes with that text and write your best piece of evidence and explanation. Okay, so this is kind of an exit ticket just to show me that you've really thought about your thesis and you're choosing the one that is best supported. Tomorrow we're going to get started on actually writing our essay, but you guys have done a lot of the pre-work already, so that's totally going to be good. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Can't wait to read what you guys have to say.